Hello and welcome to the Easy Peasy Music Theory course for kids. I'm Miss Christine. We have more learning to do, so let's get to our next lesson. All right, so here we are, lesson number 2. You are just moving along, yes. And so lesson number 2 is all about the treble clef. Yes, let me hear you say treble clef. Oh yeah, sounds really good. Now remember when we talked about that wonderful 5 lines, 4 spaces? That's right, the music staff. And what happens if we just had a music staff? I mean, that doesn't really tell us much. It's just 5 lines and 4 spaces. I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, that doesn't tell me anything musically. So why do we have to know more? Well, because we have a clef. And a clef is a symbol. A symbol means like a picture. A symbol that is placed on the staff. So you already know what a staff is. And this clef tells us what notes to play or what notes to sing, right? And it sits on the left-hand side of the staff. So just like music, just like when we're reading a book, we read from left to right, same way with music. So let's look at some common clefs. Well, here we have the treble clef, and then we have the bass clef, yep, and we have the alto clef and the tenor clef. So these are some sample clefs. But in this lesson, we're going to talk about the 2 most common clefs. And that is, oh, you're so smart. Yes, the treble clef and the bass clef. Yes, see? All right, so those are the 2 common clefs that we're going to talk about. But in this lesson, we're just going to focus on the treble clef. We'll talk about the bass clef in another lesson. So let's learn some more. Well, look how beautiful that looks. Here is a treble clef on the music staff. Doesn't it look wonderful? Oh, just take it in. All right, so when we look at our music, well, we know what a clef is. We have our clef there. Oh, and look at those lines and spaces. You betcha that's that music staff. And now it kind of looks more like something that we know what to do. And this is an example of happy birthday. So we're slowly understanding how all these symbols work. So let's learn some more. All right, now it's important to mention that this beautiful symbol is called a treble clef, but it's also known as a G clef. And some kids like to say, oh, it kind of looks like a G, very fancy G, but it is the treble clef or the G clef. So if you hear someone say, oh, that's the G clef, they're absolutely correct, all right, because it has 2 names. And it's also important to mention that the G clef, right, or the treble clef, is really used for high sounding instruments or high voices. So if you know about the guitar, all right, and the violin, the trumpet, oh, the saxophone, and a couple of other instruments. So the treble clef, just think high, all right? Yeah. All right, so let's learn some more. Oh, yes, let's learn how to draw the G clef, also known as what? That's right, the treble clef. So we're going to practice drawing our treble clef right now. All right, so we have our music staff here. Remember, we count from the bottom up in lesson number 1. And now we're going to work on drawing the treble clef or the G clef. So we want to have a nice straight line, right, and give a little hook. And then you're going to come here at the top, and I like to call it like a capital P right here at the 3rd line, and then give a lowercase d, if you can imagine that being like a lowercase d, and you're circling around, and you're going to curl it right around the 2nd line, okay? So I'll go again. Let's try. Straight line with your hook. You want to give a capital P and then bring your line right around the first line of the music staff and give a curve. As best as you can, okay? Do the best you can. We'll try it again. Start with a straight line with your hook, and some people give even an extra hook, all right? And then you want to bring your line, bring that capital P, if you want to imagine a capital P, and circle right against the first line of the music staff and give a curve, all right? So for homework, you will have the option to follow the dots and really work on drawing your treble clef. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. So practice. All right. All right, so what did we learn today? Well, you learned quite a bit today. You learned about the clef. I showed you several different clefs, but we talked about the two most common clefs, the treble clef and the bass clef, and we focused primarily on what? The treble clef. So the clef is a symbol that is placed on the staff, right? And it tells the musician what to sing or what to play. And yes, it's on the left-hand side of the music, the staff, the music staff to be clear. And the G clef, also known as the treble clef, is for high-sounding instruments. For example, the guitar, remember the violin, saxophone, and a couple other instruments. And we also learned how to draw the treble clef. So I want you to now take all of this information and do your homework. And your homework is, guess what? You guessed it correctly, the treble clef, drawing the treble clef. And as I mentioned, you have the trace, follow the dots, and you can make your very own beautiful treble clef, okay? So enjoy, and I'll see you in the next lesson.